I'm Shalina Tobin, aka Posh Nosh Gal, and I'm delighted to be joined by one of the most successful chefs ever to grace our taste buds, Chef Claude Bosi. Originating from Lyon, Claude completed his apprenticeship and formative years in many Michelin-starred restaurants in France before moving to the UK over 20 years ago. He now runs the fabulous two Michelin-starred Bibendum restaurant at the iconic Michelin building in London. Such a pleasure to chat to you, Claude. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, times could be better with a second lockdown now coming into force. How do you feel better prepared this time around?
I mean, I don't think you can never be prepared enough for this, but we feel a bit more comfortable and confident to reopen after that. The first worry about the first lockdown is where we was no choice. The customer was going to come back out, and we have see lots of support from our regular customer, from normal customer who never been to the Michelin house before and came to see us. No, we are ready for it. That's it. We have no choice for the safety of our customer and safety of our staff. We have to do this, and let's do it.
Yeah, of course. And will you be running a delivery service during lockdown?
Okay, so we're going to start supper on Thursday or Friday, and we have also order and collect from the restaurant, from the oyster bar, from Friday onwards. So it will be a Thursday to Sunday.
Okay.
The menu will be on the website, and you will be able to order what you would like and come to collect it.
And what kind of food can we expect? I mean, is it an extract of your current menu or a finish at home experience, or are you thinking about food that travels well? Talk to me about what we can have.
So we have made the menu from the oyster bar. I didn't want to take the risk to take food from upstairs because it takes so much time and effort on our side to finish it, to try to be able to deliver 100% quality. I didn't want to give you a half job done.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it could travel very well. So it will be part of the oyster bar menu. We have selected dishes to start on, like the seafood platter, a good selection of oysters, lobster. We have a grilled sole golden broth. We have loads of different dishes. We have them from the oyster bar. We will travel quite well.
Okay, and I mean, will we have to shuck the oysters ourselves, or will
No,
that
no,
all be done for us?
no. The oyster will be shocked. We find a way with elastic band to make sure when we shock them, we can put the elastic band and keep them close very quickly.
So how skilled do you need to be to, for all the lobsters and, everything that you're preparing for us? How skilled do you actually need to be in the kitchen?
I mean, when you got them at home,
Yeah,
I mean, the skills would be half of the. I will have two-thirds of the job would be done already. So you just have to make sure you serve them at the right temperature and enjoy them. But you have to be on charge of your own wine because, unfortunately, we are not allowed to serve wine.
right,
So you just have to make sure the wine is cool and enjoy the seafood platter or anything like this.
right. So maybe you'll turn us all into Michelin chefs at home.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, speaking of Michelin, I mean, Bibendum, of course, has two Michelin stars, which is an incredible achievement. But you also had 2 stars for Hibiscus in Ludlow, and then again when you opened up in London. That shows an amazing consistency. Is there a formula that you go by?
I don't think it's a formula. I think I've got a discipline with myself where if we have to do it, we have to do it properly. And I go to work where it's a job I love doing, and I'm very lucky to be able to get up every morning and do something I love doing it. And I've got a beautiful family where the way I see it, if I have to leave my wife and kid at home and to do a job just for the sake of doing a job is not worth it.
Yeah.
So my philosophy is you go to work, you make sure we look after the customer and make them want to come back and deliver something we'll be proud to eat ourselves and enjoy with our family.
Yeah.
And that is my formula. Now it's my formula to get the second star back to us so quickly, great. But I don't think anyone's got a real formula about Michelin.
Well, I'm sure the focus right now is making sure your team is safe and motivated during these times, more than a third star. But is that a future aspiration for you?
I mean, getting a free Michelin star always been a dream of any chef who's got 2 star, I think. As you just mentioned, I think at the moment Michelin is always in the back of our head, but we're on the surviving mode more than anything, and keep our business alive, keep our, of course, staff and customer safe is a main focus. But at the end, we haven't dropped our quality. I think this 6 months break, or yeah, because we close in March and we open in September. Like I think the 5 or 6 months break give us time to think a bit more about our business and think a bit more what is necessary and what is not necessary, and change a bit our approach. But I'm definitely more happy now than I was before I would do the lockdown.
Oh, wow.
And I think it reflects towards what we're doing every day.
Yeah.
Look, it's lockdown has been, I'll be honest, is not the wrong thing to say, but lockdown has been great for me. We had a young daughter, and had the time to enjoy this quality of time with my wife and kids. And we also think about the oyster bar, where I didn't have really the time to close it and reopen it, and think about the restaurant upstairs. What was very important for us to do.
Yeah.
So yes,
And I suppose, you really, it was, I think a lot of people did in the end appreciate that time off that they did have, just to reset and refresh. And like you said, you had a baby. Congratulations.
thank you very much. No, it's I think I'm trying to always see a bit of positive in all this negative, because if not, you can find yourself going down the dark side, and it's not something I want to do. Like I
Yeah.
always try to think about the positive, and even even with that lockdown, if they decide to close us until January, where I could see it happen, to be honest.
Right.
The positive of January is people will have time to meet before Christmas, and they will meet in January, February. So normally, maybe the January and February were low
Yeah.
will be good. Look, you know what? I have to stay positive, because if I don't stay positive, my staff will feel it. At home, we can feel it, and it's not worth it at the end. We have to go through this, and we will go through this one way or another.
Yeah. And there will be light at the end of the tunnel. And I love your positivity. Um,
Definitely.
but talking about Michelin, I mean, they moved the announcement to January. Do you think that they should go ahead as planned, or do you think that they should strike off 2020 completely?
You know what? Strike off is a. I mean, we have open. We have customer who came to pay for a standard.
Mm,
And I think somewhere down the line, Michelin has a duty to their customer, not necessarily to us, but to the people who's looking after the guide
mm,
and want to go it in 2021 to make sure the standard is right. So they are doing the same job than what we do.
mm.
I would say they're looking after the guest who's buying the guide, who trusts them for the consistency. Because at the end, you know what? It's if we have changed our style and dropped the standard, it's their responsibility to be able to write us down in a book next year
Mm.
and say, you know what? They're not good enough to be represented at 1 or 2 star next year. And I understand lockdown is hard for everybody, but if we take the responsibility to reopen the restaurant and charge the same price we were charging, saying to the customer we are delivering the same standard than we was before lockdown, we have a duty to do that. And they have a duty to make sure we're doing our job properly.
Yeah, yeah,
Look, I think they should not strike off the guide. I don't think it's going to be a lot of changes, but and even for them to take your star away is going to be have to be a very hard
yeah,
decision. Has is it's a point where it's tough. It's been tough for everybody. A lot of people have lost their business. Okay, it's a tough one.
yeah, yeah. It is a really tough one. I mean, what about the people that haven't managed to make it around to all of the restaurants? So it's difficult
Exactly.
for the people that haven't actually had a visit from anyone from Michelin yet.
No, I mean it's a very hard time, and I think as a chef, as a restaurateur, our main focus is to make sure our customers coming back. And
Mm,
Michelin or any other guide, they are here. Of course, they're here because we need them to support us and to promote our places. So it's very important for us to have them. But at the end, the main thing for me is to make sure my business is solid.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So let's talk about your business. I mean, you've got two restaurants at Bibendum. You've got
Yes.
the upstairs, which is the formal restaurant, and then you have the oyster bar, which you mentioned as well. Do you run it as one kitchen or two?
So since lockdown, before it was one kitchen downstairs, was kitchen upstairs, but downstairs was very inconsistent.
Okay.
And I couldn't get the staff to get with the right skills to do what I wanted to do downstairs. So we have decided to do the main. Don't we close an extra shift upstairs? So now we're doing 8 services upstairs instead of 9,
Okay.
and the team of upstairs will work downstairs.
Okay.
So we change the mentality where the Michelin house is one whole business, is not two different kitchen, two different team. And the standard of upstairs, even if we're not trying to get a Michelin star or two Michelin star, even if the standard of downstairs need to be very good, we make sure the team understand anybody who's coming to work with us could be working downstairs and upstairs with the same philosophy.
Right, right,
Donc it's one whole restaurant now with two different styles.
right. And the building was owned by Sir Terence Conran, who sadly passed away this year. Tell us
Yes.
how you ended up running the restaurant for him. Take us like from the beginning of the story.
Donc my wife had an email from a PR company who asked her to ask me if I was interested to, because Lucy was very involved with Hibiscus as well. Donc she asked her if we was interested to look after the Michelin house as a consultancy. And I said to my wife, let's go have a look and see what is it. I've never been in it. And I've gone to the place, look at the place. We walk around with Lucy and I say, listen, I can't touch that place. It's a disaster. You know, it's been open for 30 years and he was missing a lot of love in it. And I said to the general manager, I said, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. Thank you very much for the offer, but not for me. And I've got an email. My wife got an email from Sir Terence Conran's PA, say, would you mind coming to see us in his house? And we want to understand why you turn away the offer, because lots of people have said yes, but we say no. And we're going to see Sir Terence. And look, he was Sir Terence and Michael Hamling, who is also the owner of the building and a shareholder in the business, decide to say, okay, I say, sir, I've been to your place, beautiful restaurant, beautiful building, but you have staff who actually don't care about it. Your staff who actually don't care about it. The idea of it was to, I said to Sir Terence, I said, sorry, it's a disaster. Your staff don't care. It's a beautiful place, beautiful building, but it's not something I can put my name towards, where I would charge you a fee every month, and in 6 months' time would be the same thing.
Right.
But I just had an offer on Hibiscus. And I don't think I even mentioned to my wife at the time. And I just say at the table, blank, and say, sir, if you want to, I just had an offer on Hibiscus. I buy a part of the business and I take over. I can still remember it was 10:30, and he said, okay, let's do this. He get
Amazing.
up, he took his stick, get up, cross his room, go to his cigar box, and we found ourselves smoking cigar at 10:30 in the morning. And that's how it started.
Amazing.
That's how it started, and we start talking, and we've gone through it, and we bought some share and we took over.
Oh my gosh, what a lovely story.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, did you build up quite a close relationship with him over the years?
You know, as a businessman, he had his reputation. He was a tough man, really tough. I know. I mean, when we've gone through the agreement, he was 85 and he has all his mind, and he was really sharp as ever. Donc we've gone through some high and low and high to not sure if he was going to do it. But as a man, as he was a genius. I mean, I used to love going to his house. We used to sit in his garden. We'll have a cigar, we'll have a whiskey, I would have a coffee because most of the time I was to drive back. But I used to love talking to him about restaurant, and I'm going to miss him. As a person, I'm going to miss him. As a businessman, definitely not. But as a human being and his knowledge about restaurant and food, I'm going to miss him.
So you grew up in Lyon and your parents ran a bistro. So did you always know from a young age that you wanted to be a chef or a restaurateur?
You know, I was my parents had, as you mentioned, had a bistro. My mom was in the kitchen and my dad was on the floor, on the front of us. And it was a point where I had to leave school. I was a bit of a troublemaker, and the school said to my parents, "Your son can go to the next level, but we don't want him in our class."
Okay.
I was just doing enough to not be in trouble, but cause enough trouble for them to don't want me back. And I said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to be a chef. Don't ask me where I come from." I said, "I'm going to do a chef." Go back home, go back to the restaurant, and my dad said to my mom, "You will never believe what your son just told us he wants to do." I said, "I want to be a chef." And my mom said, "Can you see us how hard we're working?" I said, "Yeah, but I want to be a chef." And I started. But my dad always said, "If you start, you do not finish because it's a hard job." And I said, "No, we'll be fine." And I start, find me a job, start working, go to one place we had 2 Michelin stars, an apprenticeship, and going to another place. And when you're 18 and you see all your friends having fun and you're working on the weekend and everything else, you say, "I'm done. I'm out of this." And I can still remember going home one day and I said to my dad, "I'm out. I'm done. I'm going to do something else." And he said, "You remember what I mentioned to you 3 years ago? You
Yeah.
start, you finish it. You do not stop." And it took me back to work the next morning. And I know he waited in front of that restaurant for maybe a couple of hours to make sure I was not going to leave the place.
Oh my goodness.
And I think if he didn't do this, I think if we haven't done that, I don't think I would have carried on because he knew I was going to leave the restaurant and never come back to it. Okay, I think I think I'm where I am now is because my parents drive and the determination they have put in my head to if you have to do it, you have to do it properly.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a pretty cool lesson, actually. Taking you there, sitting outside, making sure that you don't run away.
Yes, I do that with my son sometimes when he go to sleep and I know he's not going to go to sleep straight away. And I stand behind the door and I say, "I can hear you," and he's standing behind back in his bed. So yes, it's a good technique.
So I mean, back in the 1930s, Lyon was described as the world's capital of gastronomy, famed for simplicity and its quality. Is that what you base your style on at Bibendum?
I mean, I'm French. Look, we can't really take that away from me.
No.
My food is French based. I love spices. I've been traveling a lot before Bibendum, and I love putting this influence towards my food, and that's my style of cooking. But you know what? I mean, I've got the tripe dish on the menu with a recipe from my mom,
Yeah.
where it's very popular. But it's a point where I just cook food I like eating, and I always do a menu, and I think, with my mom, would my mother-in-law eat that? And if you say yes, I think it's good enough to put it on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, we loved our recent visit to Bibendum. We had the tasting menu, and the food
Yes,
was absolutely stunning. But we didn't have your mom's tripe.
next time.
Okay, so it's very popular. So I guess must be good.
It is. It is popular. You know what? And we took it out of the menu for a bit when we came back because COVID, we couldn't get the produce, and we managed to get it back. Then we start again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very popular. Very popular.
And one typical recipe, it's a Lyonnaise recipe that's got quite an acquired taste as well, is the andouillette. Is that one of
Ah,
your favorites?
andouillette, my wife's favorite. No, I'm joking. She, when,
It's definitely
when
not
we go
one
to
of
the
mine.
restaurant, no, she's definitely not one of my wife's favorite. When I eat in a restaurant and I have andouillette, it's like I have to change table. I can't eat it in front of her because the smell of it. But it's something I really love. Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Do you get to have it often?
Every time I go to, every time I go home, it was a places in London where I used to love going there and have it. It was a place used to be called um, Les Deux Salons. It was one of my friends' places, Anthony Dimitri, and I used to love it. I used to love this. My wife said, "You can eat the andouillette, but you eat the next table." I used to, and
Yeah,
I used to have it
I'm on
with
her
mash.
case.
It's a bit,
I'll be
you
sitting
know
with
what?
her.
Yes, you can sit with her and just. But it's a beautiful dish, but it's not every taste.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste.
It is definitely a quiet taste.
So would you say that your mother was the biggest influence on your desire to become a chef?
Do you know what? I will never be able to say why I decided to be a chef. It's because I never work in my mom's kitchen, but I always love the life of a restaurant.
Mm.
But I think my brother will say I'm too miserable to be on the front of house. So the kitchen is the best part to be for me. And I
Yeah.
love the life of a restaurant. I just love it. I love the happiness of people. I love all of this.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to be a chef, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember coming back from school I never have a school dinner. And but the point is, yeah, I never have really homeschooling. It's always been going there for lunch, have a quick lunch with my brother, help them to empty the table and go back to school. And I love the restaurant. I love restaurants. I think I will never retire from it. I think it's the point where it's
Yeah.
part of your life and you have to deal with it. But I love it.
So speaking of your brother, actually, so you guys have a pub together as well, right?
Yeah, well, my brother's got two pubs in Shropshire. One of them is we are together, and he's got one on his own. He's got a Bib Gourmand last year. And my brother is made for the front of us. He's
Okay.
great with customer. He's a really hard worker. And between Trevor is a great partner here because, I mean, I would like to say he can't cook an egg, but he actually can cook an egg if you want to. And but he's great on the floor. He's
Right.
great. He's got patience. What I don't have, he can deal with difficult customer. What I can't. Donc it's a very good partner. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's pretty cool that, you do the cooking and he does the front of house. I'm surprised you guys didn't work together in the same place because it's quite a good combo.
No, my brother liked the idea. We start actually when he came to England over 20 years ago. He started with me at Hibiscus in Ladlo. He was on the floor,
Okay.
and he never really. He liked more the relaxed approach, and that's why he loved pubs.
Right.
He don't like. He finds sometimes people who will come to my style of restaurant could be a bit more difficult because the price targets they pay are more. Look in his eyes, he preferred the approach of a pub, but now I realize customer at the pub, customer at my restaurant
Mm.
are exactly the same. It's just a different approach, but same discipline and same consistency you have to provide it. That's why he got recognized by the Michelin guide last year, I think, on the Bib Gourmand, and he's very happy.
Yeah. Amazing. And so, I mean, going back to the inspirations for you, it must have been great working with Alain Ducasse. Do you ever
Mhm.
catch up with him now?
I speak to the chef often. I mean, I haven't spoke to him this year. I normally speak to him maybe once a year when
Mm.
he's in London or through an event. Through last time I spoke to him, I think it was really closely. We had a good time together. Was maybe just before I bought Bibendum,
Right.
and he was saying he remember coming to Bibendum and he can still remember the creme caramel. I think he had from Simon Hopkinson. And
Right.
he used to love the place and he was wishing me luck with it. He came to it at the restaurant maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, lovely.
And you know what? He's somebody, I mean, I've got loads of respect for every chef I've been working, but he's somebody as busy as he is and how much he traveled. I remember once I needed to speak to him and I said, Chef, I spoke to his PA. I said, is it possible to speak to the chef for a bit? And he took an hour of his time. We sit at the bar at the Dorchester, we had a drink together and we just go through. And you know what? As you know, he's a really busy man. And I think somebody who's take time for his staff. Now, even the one left, I think you need, I put my heart to these people. I think it's loads of chefs should learn from this. Where you say, it's not because the staff has left you, you should not care about it. It's a point where you will don't be where you are without your staff. And I think he's someone who never forgot that
Yeah. Yeah.
and respect that more than anything else because you can't grow a business, you can't be as good as you want to on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's still I guess, would you consider him to still be a mentor?
Oh yeah, completely. He's definitely a mentor to me. I mean, look what he's done. He's got loads of restaurants at the top of this level,
Yeah.
and he's always moving with the time. He's not somebody who have stayed with the same food he was doing in 1984 or 88 when he had 3 star at the Riviera. It's as a weekend. He's somebody who have moved with his time, understand what the customer wants,
Mm.
and just gone for it.
Yeah. And who
Oh
are the
yeah,
other people that have inspired you along the way?
I mean, who inspired me? I mean, is a British chef I really like. It's called Sean Hill.
Sean Hill.
Sean Hill. Where that gentleman is, he's 70 years old. He's 70 years old, I think. Yeah, he's age of my dad. And somebody who's cooking on the stove faster than any chef de partie I will have in my kitchen. His knowledge on food and in generality of his knowledge of restaurant side of it is unbelievable. So I've got a lot of respect for him. I mean, of course, Alain Passard, I work for him, so I respect him and I learned a lot from him. His different approach, different philosophy, but yeah, a lot of respect for that gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got respect for a lot of chefs who are actually working and not necessarily on the stove and cooking because I'm not there every day. I'm not in a kitchen every day. I've got a team with me who work for me, understand what I want. And but I love people who restaurateur who still love the job and not just doing it for the money, but doing it because they want to have a restaurant.
Yeah. And so you mentioned Alain Passard. I mean, you were there when they got their three stars, and it was voted
Yes,
top 10 in the world. It must have been an incredible experience working there. And you were very young at the time.
I started with a chef. I think I was 20. I moved in was maybe 22,
Mm.
21, 22. And I came from another restaurant before, it used to be called the Chiberta. And it was Philippe da Silva. To give you an idea, Philippe da Silva was the godfather of his children, was Joël Robuchon.
Yeah.
So the structure in a kitchen was very similar. You will not do anything without going through a recipe, without going through a technique. And I worked there for a year and a half. Where after I moved from Alain Passard, where we didn't have any recipe, didn't have any. It was all about the produce, all about understanding of the heat, understanding of the season, and it was so different for me. It was like eyes opening, and I had the chance to work with him where he was in the kitchen all the time, on the pass, dressing, be part of the kitchen, and yeah, and I was very lucky to be in a restaurant who move from 2 star to 3 star,
Yeah.
and I made great friends like Pascal Barbeau from L'Astrance, where we was together in the kitchen. And it was a hard kitchen, but not hard because the chef was hard because he was always demanding more about your understanding of cooking. And I will say I'm where we are now is because his philosophy. I've got two chefs who actually show me what I should be doing, and one will be Alain Passard, and the other one is Alain Ducasse.
Yeah.
I think they have opened my eyes of what the restaurant is about,
Yeah.
and it's yeah. I think that's it. I mean, if you think I've worked with Patrick Henriroux à la Pyramide à Vienne. I've got some beautiful places, but I would say these two chefs are too extreme from each other. But from these two knowledge I've got from them, I managed to do my own way,
Yeah.
and it's been fantastic.
And you spent some time in Japan. Has that influenced you a little bit as well?
In 2008, I went to Kyoto for the Kyoto tourism office. Asked some chefs to come and understand the coutume and the food, and that was a nice opening. I saw things I never saw before. I eat things I will never eat again.
Yeah, same.
Yes. I mean, I eat stuff I would never thought you could eat, but it was fantastic.
Oh,
I've
what were those
understand.
things?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I eat whales. I didn't know it was a whale. He came. It was a beautiful piece of fat and a bit of meat on it, and I eat it, and I said, "That's beautiful." And I said, "What it is?" And you could see they didn't want to tell me.
Right,
I promise you, it was like eating lardo di colamato. It's this beautiful fat. It was absolutely amazing.
right.
And he said, "It's well." And I said, "Oh, come on. Do we have to eat well?" And who I am to say to them, "Don't eat it." It's not my coutume. It's not my tradition. I was a guest.
Mm,
I'm hard to say, but it was beautiful.
yeah.
But I will never eat it again. It's something. I eat turtles as well in Japan. They do this turtle soup where why would you do turtle soup? Because turtle doesn't taste great, to be honest. This is
No.
between you and I, but there's no need to eat turtles. But no, it's a beautiful country. I have the understanding about umami, who was a massive help in my cooking. I understand how to make a dashi and make it properly. I understand different, but also I understand more about the seasonality, the produce, not messing around with it too much. Keep it if you got a good producer as well. If I learned this from Alain Passat or Alain Ducasse, but I was, I think, in a birth of real cooking, where you get the best produce, do not do anything with it. Serve it at its best.
Right.
The right temperature, the right seasoning. If you can do that right, it's a massive skills. And I think what saved somewhere Europe in comparison to Japan is they don't like taking risk. They're very safe in what they do because they know what they're doing and why change it.
Yeah, very meticulous.
Very meticulous, and they will be they've got one way and they're doing it, and they're doing it every day, and it's just a fantastic country for food.
I guess working in such an iconic building must be an inspiration as well. It's, you've got the beautiful stained glass, you've got the mosaic on the floor, and there's so much history. Just being there every day must be inspiring.
You know what? The Michelin House have given me the opportunity to put a proper identity to who I am and what I want to cook.
Yeah.
I'm in a French building. I'm a Frenchman. It's normal doing what I'm doing now. When I had Hibiscus, it was a restaurant just with a name. I love doing it, but don't really have any identity. Sometimes Hibiscus people thought he was a Malaysian restaurant because he's a national flower of the country.
Okay.
So he was a bit it was a bit surprising when he was coming in. But and you know what? I love that building. I love where we are. I think I feel at home. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife will don't be very happy for me to say that, but when I'm there, I can't see the time flying. It's going very fast, and I love being there.
Yeah.
It's something about this building, the aura about this building, where you just feel like comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
And when we done the first lockdown and I had to put the bolt on that chain, it was really tough. As much as when I left Hibiscus and closed the door, I was really looking forward to the next chapter.
Yeah.
This is very special to me, very, very special. And I feel very privileged and lucky to be in that building.
Yeah. And I've actually got a fun fact for you. You may know this already, but Bibendum, the Michelin man who was the mascot for the entire company, he was first shown to the public actually in your hometown of Lyon in 1894 by the
Is
Michelin
it?
brothers.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know that.
how fitting is it that you've both come from Lyon to make a home in Chelsea?
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. And being in a home of Michelin, it's very yeah, no, I didn't know they was. I know it was from Clermont-Ferrand, but I didn't know they started in Lyon.
Yeah, there was
Uh,
it was for the exhibition that they had for their time.
wow.
So yeah, that's where they showed him to the world, which
But
yes.
I heard because I had a customer who is a fanatic about the Michelin Man. He was telling me in early 1900, the Michelin Man was not a friendly man. He was there to scare the competition.
Oh really? No, I didn't.
And they were saying I don't know if it's really true, but they were saying all the stuff they have in front of him was more like torturing than helping to change styles. Though I don't know if it's a real fact, but I love the idea of that because if you
Actually,
look at the first, he
it's
looked very nasty and very angry, and
well, the thing is, there's this early image of him where he looks like a mummy, so your guest was probably right. So
yes,
I don't know. That might be a way
yeah,
to scare off. There
I
might
don't know.
be in that. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's but it's a beautiful personage, and it's such a. I know Terence used to love him. You know, we've got a big one in the entrance when you come in next to the kitchen. And every time he used to come in, he used to touch the top of his head, like if he was like a lucky charm.
Oh, like a Buddha.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, you know. And he was so sweet. He used to come, stop, touch his head, and walk back to the exit. He was something very special, don't know. And everything he did for that. Everything had the design of the round of the Michelin Man. It was something quite unique.
So, Claude, it's been amazing chatting with you today and
No,
getting
you're
to
more
know
than
you
welcome.
a
Thank
bit
you.
better. I have one last question for you. Tell me something about yourself that I couldn't possibly know.
Ah, something about myself.
Yeah, like a secret.
I don't know. I mean, I'm quite easygoing. You know, it's what you see, what you get. But hmm, I don't know about this. I think I'm really, it's maybe the wrong term, but I'm very simple.
You're very
You know,
supple.
I'm very simple. It's very,
Oh,
I'm
simple.
I'm an easygoing. I know it's not the wrong term, but I would say I'm quite easygoing.
Hmm.
I don't stress too much, and I know with all this time, sometimes it can be annoying with my wife, but you say, I always use the word, we'll be fine. We'll go through this. You know, it's for me to stop sleeping, it have to be really bad. And even when I nearly lost hibiscus from buying from my ex-partner, the night before I was missing quite a lot of money and I still managed to have a good night's sleep. So you need to be a point where to stop me sleeping, it have to be really bad.
Mm.
And I think he's always, I'm a big believer, it happened for a reason. Like it's, yeah, I'm an easygoing. I will take it the way it's coming and deal with it when it's there.
Yeah, yeah, well, that sounds great. And I wish you a very good night's sleep for the next month in
Months. Oh,
lockdown.
yes.
Get lots of
Yes.
rest because I'm sure when we open up again, everyone's going to be just, wanting to be out and dining
I
out.
think so. Yeah. I think so. I think it's a lovely position to be. And I feel so blessed to have people coming back to us and just regular who's been coming just to support us, like yourself and your husband. We've been very, very privileged. And I know it's been tough for some restaurateur who lost their business because whatever, no support from the landlord or whatever happened. And I know it's really tough because lots of people have put their life towards this.
Yeah,
Donc I feel very privileged to be able to keep going.
yeah.
And my thought are all for this restaurant we are going to close tomorrow and maybe not sure they can reopen in a month's time because I've been in that situation on the first lockdown and I was not sure if it was going to be able to reopen
Yeah.
until a week or 2 weeks before. You know, it's a really tough one. So yeah,
Well,
it's life and
I wonder because, even though the numbers will go down, I think that, when we reopen, everyone will be so excited to go out that the numbers will go up again. So it just feels like we should just learn how to manage it. And restaurants are managing it so well, the social distancing and, just taking extra care.
I mean we are trying our best. You know, we've got temperature scanner in the entrance. We've taken all our staff get temperature as soon as they come in a building to make sure they are in the right mind and health to work. And this is I mean that's why I don't believe we are going to reopen on the 2nd of December. This is the thing.
Mm,
3 weeks, 4 weeks are not going to do enough. I think it's going to be a point where we are going to be locked down for a bit to make sure we are safe after.
yeah, yeah.
That's it's a tough one.
Well, we hope to see you soon and wish you well during your lockdown. Have plenty of rest.
Thank
And
you very
thank
much.
you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And guys, if you want to follow Claude and keep up with how much sleep he's getting over lockdown, you can find him on Instagram at Claude Bosi1 and keep in touch with the restaurant as well and find out when they're going to be opening. Claude Bosi at Bibendum. And I guess you can also find out about the deliveries as well from the restaurant, Claude.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we have a link on my Instagram to make sure you can access the website easier, and the
Great.
menu will be on it.
Great. So I'll be sharing that on my stories as well, so you can all find out when it's happening. Thank you so much, Claude. Take care.
Shalina, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much. Bye bye.